I am beating every N64 game, and I mean all of them. The twist is, the next game I play is randomly selected, so I have no clue what's coming next. This is the journey to beating every N64 game. Game number 61, Bust-A-Move 2 Arcade Edition. Released in 1998, this game was developed by Taito and published by Acclaim. So I was familiar with the name Bust-A-Move, but I'd never played one of the games before. I knew it was some kind of puzzle game, but that's about it. If it was popular enough for me to have heard about it, then it must be pretty good, right? Let's check it out. There were two modes that seemed noteworthy in this game, Player vs. Computer and Puzzle Mode. I went to Player vs. Computer first, and it had 3 difficulties to select. I decided to start with Practice Mode because I didn't really know what the game would be like. When I started the first round, I immediately recognized this game. Not this exact game itself, but a game that completely copied this idea, and that game is called Snood. I played countless hours of Snood on my friend's PC, and this is basically the exact same thing. So the way this game works is there are several different colored orbs on screen. This game in particular has red, green, blue, yellow, orange, purple, silver, and black orbs. The goal is to use the launcher below to shoot a specific colored orb into another. If you get 3 or more of the same color together, then they will explode, along with any orbs that's connected to them. In this player vs. computer mode, it plays similar to a Tetris or Puyo Puyo battle mode. As the time goes further on, another row of pieces are added to the top of the board, and you can attack the other player by performing a combo, which is when you drop pieces with other pieces connected to it. This will send junk orbs to the other player's side. Since I'm on practice mode, it gives me a guide showing where the piece I'm aiming will land, but on higher difficulties you gotta figure it out yourself. Anyway, I was very familiar with how this game worked, and I crushed the practice mode. I decided to check out puzzle mode next, and oh man, this is where the game shines. This is a pure single player mode, not playing against anyone else. The devs created dozens of different orb layouts to give different challenges for you to approach. Some are very easy, some a bit trickier. In puzzle mode, you don't get the guide to show where your shot will end up. Well, at least not at first. If you die on a level, you can retry it with the guide added. The number of continues can be adjusted in the options menu. So there's an overworld map with different stages represented by letters, and you can choose your path through it. Every stage has 5 puzzles within each, and the goal is to make it to the end. The puzzle mode also introduces a couple unique elements that aren't found in the battle mode. This stage has clear orbs that are essentially junk pieces. You can't destroy them, so the only way to get rid of them is dropping a piece connected to them. Then there's a star orb, which destroys all orbs on screen of the color you hit it with. Some of the puzzles have an obvious solution, but you need to rely on your ability to aim well to tackle them. If you do well, then you can take it down in one shot. Others, though, are not so straightforward. They require you to plan your shots carefully so as not to run out of room before clearing everything. Most of these were pretty easy when I had the aimer on screen, but you only have that when you've previously lost, so you can't become reliant on it. I actually played this puzzle mode multiple times so I could explore all the different levels. It's a ton of fun and my favorite way to play the game. When you run out of continues, it's game over and you gotta start all the way from the beginning. While the game is very fun to play, it's admittedly a bit lacking in the graphics and sound department. The graphics look similar to something you'd see on the Super Nintendo, but just kind of not crisp looking. I'm not sure the correct way to describe it. Something's just off about them. The music and sound effects themselves are pretty nice, but they feel so heavily compressed that it just doesn't sound great. I feel like if they just had a bit more memory to work with, the audio for this game would be fantastic. Anyway, after playing puzzle mode for about an hour, I went back to the versus mode to play it on normal difficulty. Here, we're not restricted to just the first 3 battles. Before each battle, it shows a brief cutscene with our green dragon character having a confrontation with the creature we're going up against. It's kinda silly, but I think it gives the game character. The hardest part is you don't get the guide in this, you're on your own for landing shots. Despite this, I was kind of crushing all the opponents. I beat a purple blob dude, then a robot kitty, then a pink-haired girl with horns, then a light bulb robot, and then a hungry sea monster. I felt unstoppable. All these guys knocked out on the very first try. That's when I ran into the girl on the Great Wall. She looks similar to Chun-Li from Street Fighter, I think. I didn't realize it at first, but she was a worthy opponent for sure. She was just busting a move like crazy over there, and I suffered my first loss of the entire game. It felt like I played pretty poorly though, so I wasn't bothered. Things weren't going well though, as I suffered loss after loss after loss. I ran out of credits and that was it. Game over. Now, game over sounds bad, and it is, but in all honesty, it only took me about 5 minutes of play to get that far, so it was pretty easy to get back. After being humbled the first time, I made it back and focused on going fast rather than thinking about each shot too much. Usually my first instinct was a good one. And yeah, it paid off as I knocked her out by quite a wide margin. I was worried though, because surely the rest of the game would be even harder than that, right? Well, next up was this big rock thing with a city on top. And man, I was on fire. I had such a good start here that the computer had no chance to recover. I think that's one of the best strategies in versus mode. Just go very fast at the start so the opponent gets junk pieces before you get any. I took down the rock guy, then a ghost dude, then a vampire girl, then a red robot with scissors. It felt like this was the end. It had a big warning that a huge battleship was approaching and ready to fight. This was the final test for our little green friend creature thing. This robot, it was good though. Sometimes it felt like it knew exactly what move I would make and when, as it would block my shot perfectly. However, this guy wasn't good enough and I beat it first try. To my surprise though, a new battle immediately started up with no cutscene or anything. It was a little guy wearing a green cloak. This was a really close match, but thankfully I had a super clutch shot when my board was near the bottom, giving me a big advantage. I won this battle first try as well. It says congratulations and shows a cutscene with our character staring up at all the stars in the sky, and then the credits roll. Game beaten. However, I was really enjoying this one, so I decided to keep playing. I wanted to reach the end of the puzzle mode to see what would happen. I hadn't made it without running out of continues yet, and since I'd already reached the end credits already, I figure I'd bump my number of continues up to 9 so I could reach the end easily. This was just like such a nostalgia trip for me. I hadn't thought of Snood in so many years, and these puzzles played the same way. Like, I don't know, it's just a good feeling. After a few more tries, I made it to the final puzzle of the game. This one has a new piece that I'm not really sure what it is. You can't hit it though. The only real move to do is just hit the yellow orbs, knocking the entire thing down. It says congratulations once again and says we are now king, and then the credits play, but it looks different than the credits from versus mode. And then it showed a screen with a code on it, L up, R down. This activates another world mode, which gives an entirely new set of puzzles to play with, which that's honestly amazing. I feel like I'll revisit this one someday to knock these out, but for now, I left them alone. So yeah, there you have it. My journey to beating Bust-A-Move 2 Arcade Edition. This game is great, like I had a ton of fun with it. Maybe I'm biased since I had a lot of experience with it as a kid, but man, I really like this one a lot. It's nice to run into a game I didn't know existed on the console and still think it's really good. I hope this game ends up on the Nintendo Switch Online so I can play against other people. The gameplay itself is great, but the graphics and audio, they do lack a bit. So I gave it an 8 out of 10 for enjoyability because it only offers one thing, but that one thing is done very well. And a 5 out of 10 for difficulty. It's fairly tough, but nothing too crazy. Hey, thanks for watching the video. Have a sneak peek at the next game. So there's 330 games on the list. Anything could be picked other than something we've already played. Let's see what we get. 3, 2, 1, go. 40. What is that? Oh shoot. We are playing the next Bomberman game, which is the OG Bomberman 64. I love this game. But yeah, if you made it all the way to the end, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed the video, consider giving it a like. It helps the channel a lot. And if you like this series, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on the next one.